The two amendments address this in different ways. One is to block a pay raise that would otherwise happen for members of Congress, even in the midst of this very, very sluggish economy, barely getting out of the recent recession. And, Mr. President, as you know, there is an automatic pay raise in the law. This was done years ago, really behind closed doors in a bit of a smoke-filled room, to put an automatic pay raise for members of Congress in the law so that most every year it just happens automatically. No inconvenience of having to propose it, actually having to come to the Senate floor, come to the floor of the House of Representatives and justify it, and God forbid have to vote for it. It just happens. I disagree strongly with that system. I think that entire system and premise is offensive. And for that reason, Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri and I have a bill, a proposal to undo that and require that any future pay raise have to be proposed, justified on the floor of the Senate and the floor of the House and actually voted on. This amendment is not that entire bill. This amendment is focused on the here and now to block the automatic pay raise that would happen this year if we don't act. Now, you will hear from members of the committee, handlers of this appropriation bill, well, this amendment isn't germane to this bill. Well, the folks who set up the automatic pay raise system several years ago were very clever. They figured out a way that an amendment like this would not be germane to any appropriation bill, would not be germane to any bill. That's why we need to act on this bill, because this may be one of the few appropriation bills, few spending bills we actually deal with on the floor of the Senate this year. To Congress's credit, in the midst of the recent recession, Congress denied itself these automatic pay raises. And so they have not happened since 2009. But, Mr. President, we're not into healthy growth. The American middle class, Mr. President, is not doing just fine. Unemployment is still over 7.5%, 7.6%, well above the 5% promised when Congress and President Obama passed the $1 trillion stimulus. In fact, we've had 53 straight months with unemployment above 7.5%. That is not a healthy economy. That is not recovery. And so as Americans continue to suffer, continue to look for work, continue to look for full-time work as part-time becomes more the norm, particularly in the era of Obamacare, we need to relate to them and not set ourselves apart. We need to be a fighter for them, not a member of a higher, different class in Washington. And one simple but important way to do that is to say no pay raise when we're in the midst of this very, very sluggish non-recovery. Again, Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri has joined me in this effort. I appreciate her partnership on the broader bill, and I appreciate her partnership on this amendment, the Vitter Amendment number 1746. And I urge all of my colleagues, Democrats as well as Republicans, to adopt and support this common sense amendment. This is an important message. This is an important statement. And the question and the choice is simple. Are you going to be a true representative of the folks back home, relate to them, be one of them? Or did you really come to Washington to put yourself in a different, higher class? The answer needs to be the first answer provided. We need to represent the folks back home, not put ourselves in a different, higher class. And this pay raise amendment is one way to do that. Say no to any congressional pay raise in the midst of this horribly slow economy.